Dr. Jazz.
Finding the time.
Dr.
No, thank
Jazz.
you. I'm, you know, surprised that about your invitation, but
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's yes and no. I mean, you've been such an integral part of, you know, the Italian jazz scene or even wider. So, and uh,
mm.
I did this talk with Danilo as well. So I was like, man, shit, I'll drop you a line as well. So,
You already talked with Danilo?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
And I played with so many guys that you played with as well, and you've been incredibly productive the last 15, 20 years, and so I was like, drop you a line. Uh,
Okay.
but then I wanted to start with this, like, I checked your Bandcamp just to be updated on what you've been doing, and of course I wasn't. And then I saw you released so many new records, and I wanted to start with this one, Live at Tonic, which is basically still was recorded in 2000 with the Criminal Museum. And
Yeah. That
what's the
was
story behind there and your New York experience? How did all that begin?
okay. So the story is that in 2000 I spent some months in New York, uh, and I was living in Brooklyn, and I tried to put together a band to record. And actually, we made a record, which is also in the my Bandcamp session. It's called um, Black Forms, and that was my first record as a leader. Let's say, actually, and the music was all improvised, but I put together this bizarre band with Jamie Saft on analog synth and Ted Reichman on accordion and Brigand Krause. So friend of mine, but I think was a kind of yeah, strange combination because I mean, of course they know each other's, but they never really play together in that situation. And so I spent a lot of time at the Jamie studio, many days, listen and listen. and 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 then I found a couple of gigs for this band. So we play Tonic actually, and at the Downtown Music Gallery, the record store, and Bruce Galanter, the owners of Downtown Music Gallery, came also to Tonic, and he recorded uh, the gig. So and I decided to release the thing. It was a special moment for my life, be involved in that moment in New York with those guys. And after us that night, it was a double bill show, and I remember Danny Zamir, the Israeli saxophone player, played there. It was a record release, and Zorn was there too, play with him. He came to us and they really liked the music. So it was a special moment for me. I mean,
Yeah. Where's the first time you went to New York? When was that?
no, I mean the first time was before, but I was there just for vacation with
Okay.
yeah, just my ex girlfriend. So I was there, I think in '93 the first time.
Already. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and but then I in 2000 and 2001 I spent yeah, a lot of months in New York, and I was was going out every night at Tonic almost.
Sure.
They kind of adopted me, after a while. And so it was really great. Yeah,
Yeah.
great experience.
How did you connect with all these musicians? Why these guys? I mean, stupid question. I mean, all of them are at the top of their game, obviously, and but why these guys? I mean, how did you meet all these players?
Oh, okay. So first of all, I was a fan of many of these guys. I mean, and start to go into this kind of music on late 80s, um, when really my life changed when I heard uh, Bill Frisell, "Look Out for Hope."
Yeah,
That was a big door that opened for me. And so after that, I was very curious. So I checked these guys playing with this guy, and Joey Baron and Kermit and Hank. And so I very soon I was really into this, let's call the downtown scene. Yeah.
yeah.
And so I was really a big fan of many of those musicians. And then I met some of them here in Italy. I was living in Verona, in my hometown, and some of these bands came to play in a historical club that we had there. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore, but was called Il Posto. And so I saw there so many people, Frizzell many times, Paul
Mm.
Motion Trio,
Yeah,
Medeski, Martin and Good, Thomas Chapin, Tim Byrne, Blood Count.
yeah.
So, and at that time, with my family, we we had a restaurant in Verona. Me, my brother, and my mother.
Oh, wow, really?
So we opened up in 1991.
Wow.
So I was friends with the owner of the club, and so very often it sent the bands to eat at our place, and most of the time they use my drum set for the gig. So there was a connection, and so I became friends with many of those musicians. So like Wayne Horvitz or Chris Speed, Jim Black, so that was the beginning of the connection. But at the same time, I was at the beginning of, let's say, of my musical journey, and so after I stay in contact with many of those
Yeah.
musicians, and with many of them, I became really friends. So,
Mm.
so when I went to New York,
It's easier.
I
Yeah.
I called these guys because I already knew Ted Reichman
Mm.
and Briggan, and I don't know if I don't remember if I met Jamie at that time or before, but
Yeah.
that was the story. Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned everyone played in the club, and you did also like 12 meditations on motion. Was Paul Motion a big influence on you, or like who were the main
Of
influences
course.
that you started investigating this improv music? I mean, or jazz in general, like when you were a teenager, I guess. Did you have like a moment?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a family where I was lucky because there was a lot of music in my house because my father was a jazz fan, and he was also a bass player. Unfortunately, he stopped playing before I was born for some rheumatic problems. And one of my brothers was a percussion player. Um, so he was really into Cuban music, Irakere, Carlos Potato Valdez, that kind of stuff. So I hear a lot of this music when I was a kid, and also my brothers, they were really into. They're a little bit older than me, and they were really into, Zeppelin, Yes, Jethro Tull, all
Yeah.
this kind of English scene,
Prog
and
rock, yeah, kind of.
yeah. So I listen a lot to this kind of music, but then I grew up in the 80s, and so with the music that I was listening at that time with my friends was the music of the 80s, and the I was really into some kind of bands more from this kind of band from England of the 80s, like Style Council, you know, or Joe Jackson,
Mm.
Talk Talk.
Yeah.
Talk Talk was actually the first record that I bought in my life, and also the first concert that I went to see in
Oh, wow.
1984, yeah, in Verona. And so I think I get lost in your questions, but
Yeah, no, like
you
for
can,
jazz, how did you enter the jazz world? Like,
yeah, uh, yeah, probably because of that. But then I discover I think was 80 when I was 17, something like that. I discover Pat Metheny group.
Okay.
That was my first really, big thing. And soon after that, I discover, Bill's music, Paul Motion, also because I had a friend in Verona, musicians, older than me. It's called Bibu. It's a great percussion player, and he introduced me into a lot of ECM music and stuff like that. So I was very curious at that time, and so I bigger influence on drums start before probably with people like Motion and Joey Barron, you know, and then I went back, you know, uh, to check what was before those guys, and then even before and before. So I arrive now at the original,
The
you
usual,
know.
yeah. Path.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's and of course, promotion is
Mm.
a huge influence as a drummer, as a musician, let's say, yeah, composer, everything.
Yeah,
And for many of us, I think.
yeah. I'm the same, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was who were the first musicians then that you got connected on the Italian scene? I mean, I kind of checked you. I have you on so many CDs, like Achille Aki Suchi
Yeah.
always brought me CDs, from El Gallo Royo, and when we were touring, like, oh, check out this guys, and I always got like a bunch of CDs, and I checked you. I have you like on 20 CDs or something. Uh,
Great.
and you played with everyone on the Italian scene, but who were the first musicians that you got connected with?
So the first musician very important for me was Enrico Terragnoli. You know him,
No,
guitar player.
no.
He's one of my best friend,
I
and
have to check them out.
he's from Verona, like my hometown. So when I start playing, he's a little bit older than me, 8 years older than me. He was already, I mean, the best musician in town. So I was I was trying to going to check him out every time. And then we became friends and I started to play with him. He was
Mm.
really friendly. And then another one was Francesco Berzatti.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think in middle of 90s, uh, he spent some time in New York, I think, a year.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he moved to Verona. So, and at the same time, I start a band with Enrico and Francesco. Like, name of the band was the Kaiser Lupovitz Trio.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's from
Yeah.
from Woody Allen character, and and of course the orientation of this band was, was about looking to the downtown scene of New York, and also, I mean, saxophone, guitar, and drums, you know, related to motion trio, even
Yeah.
if we play different stuff. But um, yeah, those guys were are the first really important musicians that I worked with.
Mm.
And then, many others. And
Yeah, then you slowly
yeah,
begin the journey.
soon, yeah.
Yeah. How important was in this sense El Gallo Royal Records, and how did you and Danilo decide to do that? Like,
It was it's a funny story. In I think it was 2004, we went to Mexico, and we went to Peru and Mexico. At that time, me and Danilo, we were playing with a band called Palo Alto. We were playing music from Lenny Tristano, Lee Konitz stuff, and also original. So we were invited by a festival in Lima. So we spent a week there. And then after that, me and Danilo, we went to Mexico because one of my brothers lives there. And at that time, he owned a restaurant, Italian restaurant. So the deal was that, we played every night in his place, and he gave to us, to sleep, to eat,
yeah,
and everything. So and Giorgio Pacoridge,
yeah, yeah,
he joined us. So we were, me and Danilo and Giorgio, in Mexico, and it was it was really fantastic moment. We had a lot of fun, you know, uh, and so in in Mexico, me and Danilo, we start talking about the idea to open like a label, and to produce our music, because it was already very difficult to find, someone who really produce your stuff, and to have the freedom also to do, you know, what you want to do, in the music, or covers or stuff
mm,
like that. But and there were already many examples of great musicians, that already start. I mean, of course, Zorn, but
yeah,
Tim Byrne, a lot
yeah,
of. So it was a big inspiration, and so we start the idea in Mexico, and then when we come back, we invited some friends to join the idea, and soon, I mean, after a while, we became 15 people involved in that dream, and I think for all of us, it was a very important. I mean, we did
yeah.
70 records at the end
That's
in
amazing. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 10 years, something like that. So I'm very proud of that
Oh man.
experience.
Yeah.
Of course, at one point, it it ended, but because, for many reasons, for many of us, they were um, uh, sad about, the they can't sell records anymore. And then at that time we were kind of young, so we had family, we moved, we had kids, so life changes. So, but I think we are all very, very proud of that experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an important one, especially because you did like, the creative music. It was not like all the bands
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard from that label. It was like really killing creative stuff. I mean, and I like that. It's fantastic. Yeah. 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 Uh, I wanted to ask you about your composing also. And yeah, I remember, of course, I know Enrico. He's on Plunge. I listened to Plunge today. And
Ah, okay, okay.
I just before you said, I was like, who? Okay. And but I love the compositions on that record, and also in general, like you've been quite prolific as a composer. Also, like, what's your story when composing?
Okay. First of all, I mean, I write some music, but the word composer make me, embarrassing. When I think composer, I think about Stravinsky or,
Okay, okay.
Giuseppe Verdi. I don't know. It's
I
not,
know what you mean. I know what you mean.
but
Okay,
I just
but still,
I I'm a very primitive composer. So I don't have a routine about that. It's just, sometimes some idea happens and I try to develop the stuff and try to fix on a keyboard, with my chicken technique, like three finger. But
I'm the same. At least I have the guitar, but sometimes I
yeah, yeah,
mess with
okay,
the
okay.
piano as
It's
well.
good.
So it's like okay, but yeah,
But then if I like the idea, I try to, play with some friends and or maybe sometimes the idea it's already it's about a specific band. So, um, but I like to work then together with you know, um, I just put some ideas and then we build it in
yeah.
a way. And but yeah, actually now I'm not so prolific because I'm too busy with my kids. But
I hear
uh,
you. Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
I not a lot of time to write music. But I did some stuff in the last years that just came out at the end of in November. One of my last records. I mean, my last record as a leader, let's say, with this band called Xenophilia, which is now it's a band with trombone, saxophone, tuba, drums, and then
Mm,
we have
yeah,
guest
that's-
Dean Bowman.
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
Bowman singing, and also we have a great percussion player, Simone Padovani. It's also playing with Petrella and a lot of people. So, and actually, we have a release concert next Monday in a festival in Correggio, which I'm really looking forward. And it's a fun band, yeah. And for that band, I wrote, yeah, some new stuff.
Fantastic.
To,
How did you connect with Dean?
oh, interesting. I mean, Dean, I never met him before, but of course, I was a fan of the Screaming Headless Torsos, great band. And when I was thinking about this record, I was looking for a singer, a special one. I thought about him, and I discovered that now he's living in Romania.
Really? Wow, I did not. Wow, okay.
Yeah. So I contacted him, and he was very into, and so we connect was very easy, with very cheap flights from there to Italy, and so we met, we did some rehearsal, and we went to the studio. Then we we did a gig also in January in
Mm,
Florence, and yeah, that was the connection with
interesting.
Ian. He's amazing. I mean,
Oh, he's crazy,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Ah, beautiful man with vocals. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Uh, Zeno, how did you also connect with the older generation of Italian musicians? I know I heard you with Franco D'Andrea, the
Yeah.
fantastic piano player, and Enrico Rava.
Uh,
What do those connections mean to you? I mean, like playing with these guys.
Means a lot. I mean, with Franco, it started very. I still don't know why it chose me, but in 2003, it was the kind of a year that really changed my musical life because at the same time I started playing with Franco and also with this Italian singer Vinicio Capossela,
Oh yeah,
which is very big in Italy. And so so my life kind of changed in that year. And Franco, he called me one day. I never met him before. I didn't know his music so well. I mean, I had some records where he was playing that I really loved, like this band called Quatre. You remember with Rava, Daniel Humer, and Miroslav Vitus. They made a couple of records in the 80s. And so I had some records of with Franco, another record from Furio di Castri that he made with Franco, Joe Lovano, and Paul Motion,
yeah, yeah. He played a
80s.
lot with those guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the Americans.
So I was really surprised, but the connection was through the saxophone player Andrea Yassot, that was already playing with him. And I did a record with Andrea like a year before, so he probably suggest my name, and but I was surprised because at that time nobody knows me. So and Franco, I had the chance to play with him, and was it was amazing. Uh, uh, Going deep in his view of music, and we play a lot until 2020 actually. So
Well,
we made a lot of records. The band we start as a quartet, then it became sextet, then octet, then
yeah.
different trios. We had the chance also to play with some great guys like Ham Banning or Dave
Mm,
Douglas. So it was a really great experience for me. Yeah.
beautiful.
And with Rava, it was a little bit later that I was involved in this in this uh, project that started at the auditorium in Rome.
Yeah.
So they put together like a band of let's say young musicians that work with Enrico in different projects. So they call me, and I work with them a lot for some years, very different projects. And recently I play with him also again. We're in another project of Mauro Tolini,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the trombone player.
okay, beautiful.
It's about the music of Lester Bowie. Um,
Oh wow,
it's
nice,
really a really fun project. And Enrico is involved there. So
fantastic.
also it's a history.
Yeah,
To have a chance to play in the same stage and hear that sound. It's
beautiful. Yeah,
something magic.
yeah,
It's
yeah. He's one of those Italian musicians that really, I think, is
yeah,
known
yeah, yeah.
known everywhere in the jazz world. Those records with Pale and Abercrombie, and the list goes on. I mean, like, yeah,
Father, yeah,
oh man, yeah, who passed away, but yeah, one of the best on the
yeah,
instrument.
yeah.
Uh, Zeno, how has in your eyes, the scene in Italy developed or changed since you started in the early 2000s, let's say, and now, like you being now like a well-seasoned musician already on the scene?
You say how it
Yeah,
changed, you
how it
mean?
changed? Like, is it
Ah,
easier, or I mean, for you now, obviously you're more experienced and everything, but
yeah, but I think it's not easier. I mean,
mm,
when I start playing, uh, we're talking about the 90s, and yeah, something like middle of the 90s. I mean, for example, in my hometown, there were so many places to play. I mean, not great gigs, but you can play almost, I don't want to say every night, but at least 2 or 3 times every week. And and it was a very important thing uh, for all of us because we can, you can make a living with that, and also experience, you know, try different stuff. Now there are a lot of maybe a lot of more musicians, young guys, very great, but I think it's very hard for them, you know. Um, but everything changed. I mean, also the approach to the music. I mean,
mm,
for our, I think our generations was all about listening to
yeah,
records, going to
yeah,
check every gig as possible, and try to play with people better than you. You know, that was the school. You know,
I agree. Yeah,
now now they can have everything just click on the computer, but I think it's more difficult to go deep into something. It's more you stay on the surface. Uh, yeah, it's not a great moment, I think, for jazz music. Um, I mean, for example, I just came back last night from 3 amazing gigs in France, in Dunkirk, in a jazz club, and we played 3 nights in the same place, which is
yeah. That's rare.
something
Yeah,
amazing. That I was with Francesco Berzatti, Tinissima, with Danilo, Giovanni Falzone, and for example, it's also when we play in France, I think there is more tradition about uh, listening to
mm,
music, be curious, and and the gigs were sold out, but it was amazing. The vibes was great, but if you even there, if you check the face, it's people that from our age to older. You can't see any young guy, which is
yeah, that's yeah.
kind of weird. So I don't know about the future of this music. You know, of course, we have to start maybe from the kids,
Yeah,
but I think at the same time we have to keep these old people, happy, and try to they have a long life because otherwise
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like
everything.
yeah. I did some gigs in Germany like last month, and the audience, it's like, 60 plus male, of course. So it's which is great, all these people are supporting the music. They have
Yeah, yeah,
jobs, they buy the CDs actually still. So it's great for the now, but when I think, yeah, like 10 years ahead, I'm like, shit, man, that's
yeah. Let's see. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Will be will be hard, but
Yeah, it's like a lot of on the surface, like you said, like I did some workshops last year and had some combos, also with drummers and really amazing drummers. And I tell them like, yeah, you should check out, I don't know, Danny Richmond or
yeah,
Paul Motion. And the drummer didn't know who these guys were. I was like, are you kidding me? Like that's like
yeah. That's
really the basics, But he knew who Marcus Gilmore is and Jeff Ballard. But I was like, yeah,
of
but
course.
these guys listened to that as well, So yeah,
Yeah, I know, but I mean, uh, it was a it was like kind of like that also when we start. I think when I start, I mean, of course uh, I know drummers though that were playing those years, like Peter Erskine, but maybe
yeah,
I didn't know about uh, or yeah,
someone,
maybe
yeah,
some yeah. I mean, I already know that the biggest because my father was listening to or Blakey or
yeah,
Max Roach. We had Mingus records, so uh, I know about Danny Richmond, but I don't know about other guys. Maybe I didn't know anything, so I discovered later.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's a normal process then,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I just hope these younger people then will do. Many times I get the feeling they don't do the research because we when we did our research, it was buying CDs and at least for me, like I always read who was playing, so I remember the names. Now you just go on iTunes, Spotify, or
Yeah,
whatever, and you just click on something. You don't know who the musicians are, where it was recorded,
right.
or anything. So I think that's the problem of this generation. Just this
Yeah,
discovery is in a way easier, but also harder because the connections are not made, I think. So we'll see. We'll see.
yeah. It was very different. I mean, I remember when in Verona there was this record store, and I was there almost every day to check new stuff, even also just for listening. But and it was, when the guy thought, oh, next week, the new John Scofield record came, so you are very excited, looking for,
Yeah, I
and
exactly know. Yeah,
or try to find some very rare records. It was, now it's just a
different.
click on the computer. I think it being be curious is the
Yeah,
most important thing, but one of the most important things for
definitely.
a musician. Yeah.
Yep, definitely. Then we mentioned like the Correggio Festival, and what are still the
Yeah.
plans for the upcoming weeks or this year? Do you have some new recordings, some bigger gigs happening, or as a leader or sideman?
Uh, yeah. I mean, with this band we play next week, and unfortunately we don't have other stuff for the moment. And let me think what I have. I have a soon. I have a like a small tour with a fantastic American uh, singer songwriter called Micah P. Hinson, and I uh, I played in his last record, the was really great. It was produced by a friend of mine, Alessandro Asso Stefana. I don't know if you know him, but you can check
Check it
him
out.
out. It's
Yeah.
great. And we did his record. It's fantastic. Greg Cohen was on bass.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, great, Greg. And now we have a few gigs, next week in Switzerland, and uh, this is one of the things that another record just came out, which is not my record, but it's a trio, collective trio. I have with Enrico Terragnoli and Paolo Botti. You know Paolo, viola player. So we made this record about the music of Lou Reed,
Oh,
which
wow. Okay. That's
which is
interesting.
another great hero of us.
Amazing.
And yeah, it's instrumental record, but in two we have two songs with singers, but um, yeah, I think it's very interesting. I like it.
Beautiful.
It's
Fantastic.
yeah,
Good, good, good.
and that's something else that I don't remember right now.
Yeah, sure.
But
But cool.
no,
Keep
I have a
keep
kind of
busy.
I'm lucky that I have a kind of busy summer. So
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
and yeah,
Fantastic. Cool. Uh, Zeno, I'll leave you a nice, what is today? Monday. But thanks
yeah.
for taking the time, man. Appreciate it. And sharing some of
No,
these thoughts.
thank you
Beautiful.
for asking me. I mean, it's an honor to be in the
Well,
part of this great program that you put together. So
yeah,
with
thank you.
many of my heroes.
Yeah,
So
you're there now. But
and
cool, fantastic.
I hope we get a chance to one day to play
Yeah,
together.
man, would be amazing.